Welcome all to episode 241 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded live on August 31st, 2024. I'm your host, Captain Logan. Luke Lohr is currently out of office right now and will be back after the Labor Day weekend. But fear not, I am currently being joined by none other than Mr. Badbit, Joseph Moran of the PlayStation Trophy Room.
God,
I keep wanting to change it to Achievement Hall, but we're not there yet. But I'm gonna work on you. I'm gonna work on it.
It's all good. Listen, just note that there was a round of applause. I'm happy to be here, though you butchered the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, as I am the host there.
For the players,
all know that.
By the players.
Yeah, that's right. Is that a good tag? Well, nobody took it. Nobody took it until I did. It's really good.
For the players, by the players. I mean, it's kind of like the Hair Club for Men, which I'm sure you and I will never have to worry about. Where I was like, not only am I a member, but I'm also the owner president. Or something. Yeah, the president, something like that.
I'm the chairman.
I'm the chairman. Not only am I a member, I'm the chairman, something like that. Exactly. We got a lot to talk about. There's some news that I think is perfect for you joining me this week because... Me? Yeah, absolutely. As a premier podcast for PlayStation news over on the blue side of the fence, I'd say, yeah, you're like the perfect person. I'm not going to go to, who am I going to hit up Greg and be like, hey, Greg, tell me how great this Star Wars game is when they're coming out with like a 4 out of 10. No, I want like a real opinion. I want like a real opinion.
Well, some would say a shill opinion, but yeah.
I've seen the YouTube comments. This guy was paid. So we've got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about the PS5 Pro leak. I want to talk about Star Wars Outlaws, which you've been playing. And I also want to talk about Call of Duty Next, because we just saw like a whole bunch of news coming out for Black Ops 6. I know I got to jump in so far this morning to get a chance to actually play it with like the omnidirection stuff, but
nice.
Lots to cover in this week's episode. We're doing this live. It's a little bit later, so thank you for joining me right after work. I really appreciate that. And thanks to everyone for jumping in. We've already got a bunch of folks. We've got Silkenit, the Nerd Chat, Nissa, Rob Frawley II, everyone jumping in. So thank you all on your vacation weekend, the Labor Day weekend, for jumping in to spend time with us to just hang out and talk about some games. But Joe, before we get into any of this, we always like to find some words of kindness. And I wondered, do you have someone in mind that you want to thank for major gaming week better?
Yeah. I want to thank all my haters. Without them, I wouldn't be here. No, they've been really loud this recent week, which has been really nice to know that, you know, it really helps the ego. Because sometimes you get a little bit too high, then you need a few messages that tell you to go kill yourself, and then it gets you go, right, I'm just a normal person. So that's nice. Trust me, when we talk about Star Wars Outlaws, it's going to be fun. But I would like, you know what, here's a shout out. Here's a word of kindness. My mother, it's her birthday. Well, it was her birthday yesterday. Yeah. Some things went down. And so we're celebrating it after this podcast. Yeah. And, you know, hopefully she's going to have a better time, because I know she's having a real rough one. Not me, but you're her, solid. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm solid. It's almost like nothing devastated has happened in the last 24 hours. So shout out to Mama Badbit.
Except for the weather, let's be honest. It is flipping hot everywhere right now. Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with it.
I got my AC on, and we're a day before September. Like, come on.
I know. It's wild to know that I have to put the AC on, and I'm seeing brown leaves like fall onto my little Happy Halloween doormat, and I'm like, what is this? It should be nice and cool. But I'm glad that you're able to at least kind of rise above the haters, as well as, you know, just some of the troubles that are going on. And happy birthday to Mrs. Badbit, because, you know, I haven't seen her.
Mama Badbit.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Mrs. Badbit's Luke's mom. Oh, you're confusing moms.
I'm sorry. I go with both of them, you know, depending on the weekend. So that's
fair.
Sorry, man.
That's fair.
For my words of kindness, I actually want to thank you and Luke, because Luke was able to get me the Black Ops beta code so that I was able to jump in and get some time in on that, which I'm actually going to have some B-roll for as we're kind of playing through that. So you guys will actually see some of the games that I played before we actually recorded today, but also you, because if it wasn't for you and working with me on the times and the schedules and having that experience with not just Star Wars, but you guys are also jumping into Space Marine 2, which I'm kind of curious about. Obviously, can't talk about it, but I really want to know about that game. I wouldn't be able to be doing a show right now, and I just want to thank you for that. So thanks for coming in, man.
Jeez, thanks. That's right.
So right off the bat, I have to find out what is going on with PlayStation and this Pro. Is this like, I don't follow leaks. I don't really like reporting on them, but I'm genuinely curious. Like, is this going to be a real thing? Are they actually doing like a Pro?
Yes, but I don't know if they should.
Okay.
Because, yeah, listen, right? I think the beauty about our podcast is we don't pretend like we know what all the teraflops and specs mean.
Yeah.
We're just assuming that it's going to be a better 4K quality. It's going to be, let's hopeful, more hopeful for a steady 60 FPS. For the games that don't allow it, a steady 30. I think, a lot of fans are tired of having to choose. I think one of the things, at least in the hardcore audience, that people are tired about is, we were supposed to get the most powerful consoles ever, and we're still sacrificing graphics with fidelity. And I think the broader swath of people want something powerful enough that has a convenient form factor that they don't have to go out there and build a rig for. So
Fair.
I think while I think there's a market for it, it's none of the specs that really like blow my mind. It's really going to come down to the price, and it's going to come down to how they sell us on it. Because I think the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X were meaningful bumps.
Oh yeah.
Where I feel like in this generation, I don't feel like there's anything meaningful, at least with all these leaks, with this redesign.
I feel like that's kind of that is kind of like the thing that calls into question, because I would argue that I think when we were going into this generation with the PS5, and the Xbox Series X, we were really kind of sold on the idea like, hey, these are going to be like magical leaps. We've got the fastest RAM, the SSD is solid state for the first time ever. We've really decided to bump up the quality of the hardware going into this generation, and now it kind of feels like it's like, well, we're still fighting this battle between like graphics and performance. And I keep wondering, could we have developers actually just get things to like a lock 60? Like it's clear they know how to balance between two different modes. So why even settle for that? Why wouldn't they just go for something that is like a solid 60 and just pare down the graphics for that? Does it feel like it's just more on the developers and it doesn't matter what hardware you get?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think with all the developer talk around this console, there is this like, hey, we want to do all the frame rate, or the what's it called, the ray trace reflections, right? We want to hit 60 FPS, and we don't want to feel confined to either or. And I think that's what the developers want. But I think in terms of like, again, a lot of the promise of this generation was, hey, you're never going to see a loading screen. No, we still do. And, ray tracing is it's going to be like your real life. And it's definitely not. And it's definitely overhyped. And it definitely uses way more of that console's power than really needed. And I think that's the real problem. The problem is the promise of the consoles before, and this console, it feels a lot less necessary than, again, the PS4 Pro. But I think they saw the PS4 Pro was moderately successful. I think it sold anywhere between 10 to 14 million consoles, so nothing to scoff at. And they go, yeah, people will trade in their PlayStation 5s for this. Sure, they'll do it. And we get to brag to our shareholders
Yeah.
that we sold more consoles, and it all just comes back to the number on the Excel sheet.
Yeah. So one of the things you brought up, and this is, I think, the thing that kind of calls into question a lot of our mindset about like whether or not this is actually going to be something that will kind of determine the next generation.
Yeah.
Price.
Yeah.
Price right now looks like we're looking at 600 for the digital, 700 for the disc version. Is that fair in the leaks that I've heard?
So genuinely speaking, they don't know if it's a disc console. Like they don't know if it's 2 SKUs or 1 SKU.
Oh, don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is frightening. So if they want to cut the cost and make it as affordable as possible, they would go with the digital, right?
Yeah.
Now, that would be $600 without a disk drive, theoretically, and we're just speculation town here. If it is 2 SKUs, then you're going to get one that's 600, 700, and so you're going to have at the end of the day 4 SKUs that range from $400, $500, $600 to $700.
That kind of covers the gambit.
It definitely does. And I think that those prices are scary. I think they're scary in this economy and in this environment where, like, just look at it. Yeah. Generations prior, 4 years in, they're cutting the cost of these consoles.
Usually.
The fact that they're raising them
due
to quote unquote inflation, which talk to the Kroger CEO, that's BS. No, they're just trying to penny pinch as long as they can, and it's been 4 years too long. So that's my problem with all this is truly the price. There should be a decrease in these. I would much rather see a console that is $500 as a pro rather than a $600 to $700 pro.
Oh, I don't disagree there at all. I think 500 is what we can usually expect for consoles to be powerful. I think they should be a pretty significant jump given the cost of technology supposedly going down, but inflation keeps going up. So, the cost of everything else getting up there. I have a hard time with this because there would have to be a significant leap in hardware for me to even consider going from a $500 console to a $700 console. Like that right there is on par with like the reasoning between going with a last gen GPU for a PC compared to a new gen GPU for a PC. Like that's a whole generation gap. This is a mid-tier refresh or a mid-generation refresh. And it seems kind of high for me to justify that. I remember you were talking on the trophy room this week and you were talking about the ease of having a console versus going with a PC. Do you think that this may be, this is kind of a weird question to ask because I know that we generally all kind of subscribe to having multiple ways of getting access to different ecosystems. If they do come out with consoles that are $600 to $700 that are just little black boxes or little white boxes that you can't alter, do you think more people will stick to one console and will actually start to have a little bit more of what used to be like the Nintendo versus Sega situation?
No, I don't think like they would. I don't think the audience would also move to PC either. No. I heard the argument over at over on Jeff Grubb's podcast where they're like, oh, it's easy, it's like you can make a PS5-esque powered PC at around $700, $800. I'm like, those are Linus Tech Tip videos that are usually not really the best accurate thing. So for me, I'm like, no, I don't see anybody jumping ship because of this news. I also don't see people flooding out the way they did for the PS4 Pro to jump on this Pro version of the console. I think gamers, they're already having a problem getting people off of the PS4, and same with Xbox, getting people off the Xbox One to get the consoles right here, right now, because there's so many cross-gen games, because of the biggest games like Fortnite and like Call of Duty are still cross-gen games. They don't have a reason to switch. So to just bring over, oh yeah, well, you trade in your, theoretically, look, you trade in your PS5 and you get the console probably, what, 200 to, sometimes those deals are real good, like at the launch. Maybe you get close to $300 for it. And then it's like, oh, it's a $300 device. And the most hardcore players, like myself included, I run a PlayStation show, will get it. But I'm not the majority of people. And so the majority of folks going, well, I already play these games, and I already play Fortnite at 120. Why do I need to? Why? So, the Banana Man has a few more textures.
I need to see all of the curves of Gambit right now. That's what I need.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name. Yeah, so it's just, I don't see the necessity for this. Yeah. I just see the opportunity.
We are closing in. If this launches in 2016, that'll be 10 years removed from the PS4 Pro, I believe, or the PS4. I'm thinking the PS4 came out in 2016, right?
2015, 2016, yeah.
Okay.
Right there. Yeah, 2015.
So PS4 Pro came out, I think, 2 years,
or it's actually 2014, because then 15 came, 16 was Uncharted, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think I don't know, guys. Listen, once you hit your 30s, time's an enigma, and your memory is fickle. You know.
I feel offended right now because
you're 29. I get it.
I can't wait. I'm gonna be an adult.
I can't wait to hang out with my other Gen Zers.
I'm on
the bop toilet.
I'm a Gen X millennial, so I take offense to that. So one of the things that I actually think is interesting here, Silken, brings up an interesting point. I don't buy the ease of console versus PC. A clean PC doesn't require much more maintenance. Updates of consoles and controls are on par with Windows and GPU.
May I argue pro console?
Sure.
Okay. I said this on the trophy room, so I might be repeating myself, but it bears repeating. When I hear that nonsense, it makes me sick. Because like we were playing Fortnite with you and your girl, right? Mm-hmm. And I say that like slang. I respect women, and especially Logan's girlfriend / partner, because you know what, they're partners in crime, gosh darn it. Yeah. And they were having some needless issues because drivers weren't updated. We were stuck in windowed mode for like 5-7 minutes, and then they're like, how do I get out of windowed mode? And you're like, press Control Alt Z F, and I'm like thank God I don't have to deal with this. It's those minor inconveniences that I don't have to deal with. The fact of like, I like what's the see? Softness, right? Consoles just work. I don't have to think about much. I don't have to worry about a BIOS screen. I don't have to worry about, how many launchers are going to pop up on my screen. It's just this one place. It's convenient. I don't have to think about anything else.
I'll come back to the to that point and argue that while yes, there tend to be more settings involved or potential points of failure involved with PCs, that is definitely like a concern. Like, how many times as a podcaster do we have to, or a streamer just in general, do we have to sit here and think to ourselves like, every time we are like trying to work out what's going on with audio, how many times are we sitting here having to go through multiple different windows and software programs and connections to try and find out like, why is the microphone not picking up what I needed to pick up? So I definitely get it, especially when it comes to games. I think that's why a lot of people have really enjoyed the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck gamify or consolifies Steam for, PC fans. That being said, there are infinitely more opportunities for a PC gamer to be able to adjust settings on a game so that if performance is bad, they actually have the little sliders and toggles to be able to improve that performance, compared to consoles where you have to go to a digital foundry to take a look and see like which freaking one is going to have the worst frame rate, which one is going to have the best
and listen,
quality.
All these complaints, right, are first world problems. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But those are still barriers for people. And also, I never mention it, so people don't know. I used to game on PC all the time prior to the PS4 launch.
Dirty.
Yeah, I remember the days of like PC is going to be for everything. My PlayStation is going to be for exclusive. I had this cute little plan, and I just hated the experience.
Yeah.
And I think like the gateways to the console are not in the consoles that are, necessarily the $1,000 ones where we get to see God. But it is more in the budget PCs. It's also more into mobile. It's in like what you just said. Steam Deck, ROG Ally, those are the gateway drug of getting into those ecosystems, and they're pretty darn good at what they do because they are a console experience. Until there is a time where, and listen, someone could have it right here, right now, where maybe there is a true Steam box. The Steam box comes back in a certain way where it's like, hey, I turn on this PC and it goes straight to, console mode. Then Xbox and PlayStation, I get to be a little concerned. But right now, the PC market's growing, and it's not because of the consoles that match the PlayStation's power or Xbox's. It's not the ones that exceed it. It's the ones that are subpar.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's the barriers to entry. We always think about like, and it's the worry for the PS5 Pro, which is the barrier to entry $600, akin to my Lenovo laptop, which may not be the best, but if I'm a casual gamer and I'm playing Lethal Company, that's all I need.
That's enough.
Yeah.
I want to know, and honestly, like as someone who is an enthusiast for games, a lot of my expendable cash goes towards that. So for me, the cost is not necessarily something that is going to prevent me from being able to experience my enthusiasm for games. So what I care more about really does come down to where are the titles that I'm going to be playing, or where are the games going to be on the consoles, and how ugly is this thing going to look? And are they going to let the plates that I bought for my PS5 actually transfer over to the PS5 Pro?
Great question. So apparently the only thing that's different from this PS5 Pro to PS5 Slim is that there's an Adidas stripe, three lines across, and it's a little wider. So apparently you can still use the same plates from your Slim to the Pro.
But not the original.
It's not the original. So yeah. So technically still smaller than the actual base PlayStation 5, which is ridiculous to say.
So it's smaller than the base PS5, but still a little bit bigger than a Mazda Miata. That's what
exactly.
I mean. Okay.
Exactly. Now I will say, SoCanIt says something true. Regular people without XLR mics don't have audio problems. That's a podcaster problem. And I think I could speak to this. Okay. Listen, I don't have these type of tech issues. I'm kind of a techie myself. I don't run into much, but I'm stuck at this computer. The last thing I want to do, this is actually a problem I had at work when I used to do work from home. It's like the last thing I want to do is be on this PC. It's like when I've just done the trophy room is like a 6-7 hour affair that day. So it's like the last thing I want to do is be on this computer. I want to be on my couch. I want to be on my sofa. The day Gabe finds out and figures it out, then we have ourselves a situation. But the PC space is growing, and again, it's not because of the 470 or the 790s, whatever numbers ridiculous bull that you guys
the
have.
latest NVIDIA graphics cards.
No, it's about the things that are literally, integrated into the motherboard. That's the type of PCs that are growing that market.
I am very curious to find out like what happens with the PS4 or the PS5 and the PS5 Slim after the PS5 Pro launches, just due to the nature of consumerism. If those markets will shrink and people will move over and just get the latest thing. I genuinely feel like the old kind of paradigm that Apple created with having like, or not even Apple, I guess it was really the cell phone companies that had like this 2-year cycle for devices. Like there would be a 2-year contract that you would sign, and then at your end of your contract, you would get a new phone and a new 2-year contract. That kind of paradigm within gaming consoles, where we have 4 years and then we'll get a pro version that they created with the PS4 Pro and in the Xbox Series X. I'm worried that is cannibalizing their own market too much, instead of really letting like teams kind of continue to develop and use the power of the console. Because right now we're getting games coming out right now that are coming in so hot that it feels like I'm just going to wait for the patches to hit before this thing gets optimized, because they're not even finishing the games by the time they actually get launched.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I can't add anything to that. I think that is a big problem that I think a lot of these platform holders are looking at right now, which is like, how do we distinguish ourselves, and how do we carry out these generations appropriately without alienating customers, to keep them, so that I can play my Bloodborne on my PlayStation 5 Pro, no problem, right? Yeah. And then even on my PlayStation 6. That's their issue, because they don't want to cut off those digital libraries. And I think what will probably change into the next generation, if I had to guess, is the form factor will change. And I think that's where they think the future is headed for them. And that then adds questions for Nintendo of like, okay, how do we differentiate ourselves again?
Yeah. Yeah. Am I going to have to get a new PSVR 3?
Oh, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that.
I don't think I have to worry about my PSVR 2, because there's nothing going on with that either.
I think you're good.
I want to thank you again for joining me for this episode, but I also want to thank the patrons, because they have taken time to join us. We've seen Rick Davis, X Bacon Gaming, Rob Frawley II, Selkinit, was a bunch of folks coming in. So I want to give them some love and let them know like we really do appreciate everything they do for us. So as always, shout out to all of the different tier 2 and tier 3 supporters that we have. We'd like to call them out on the episode. So if you guys want to join us, feel free to jump in. You can join the Discord over at patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. This week's shout outs go to Chris 1H1D, Nicholas Johnson, Ellery Woods Parker III, Rob Frawley II, Tao Zochi, Randall Thor 19, Silkenit, African aka Charles Jones, Game Positive, Jampack Sam, Matt Valdez, Neo Prime 33, Rick Davis, Red Beast, Xbox Mike 29, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, Brendan Myers aka The Winter Gamer, Sony's VP of Marketing Kevin Butler, Clint Coombs, DJ Hero, and Dano12. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you to all of the YouTube viewers who are also with us and subscribed. You guys have your names coming down here on the little ticker. We appreciate all of you. You know, Drake Williams, Big Bad Mo, Google Eyes, Painful Discourse, which is sometimes what happens when we have to cover some of these.
Week, Jesus.
So, one of the things that I think really kind of brings me a sense of relief is when I see a friend who's playing a game that is getting a lot of like negative discourse. And they are enjoying it. And it's one of the things I think Luke does really well, which is typically why he tends to be like swimming in sevens and enjoying like the 7 games. Star Wars Outlaws has come out, and it is currently rated at 77 on OpenCritic and Metacritic. That game is something that I think a lot of us maybe anticipated to be a lot higher, given the initial presentation of the game. A lot of us, I think, very excited to see like what this game of like playing as a scoundrel or a bounty hunter in the Star Wars world that wasn't tied to a Jedi or like a Mandalorian would be like. Looking at some of the reviews, we've got one from Tristan Ogilvy over at IGN, who gave it a 7 out of 10. Says Star Wars Outlaws is a fun intergalactic heist adventure with great exploration, but it's hindered by simple stealth, repetitive combat, and a few too many bugs at launch. One of my questions to you is, this is a Ubisoft title. You've been able to play this and have some fun with it, and typically Ubisoft games have like a very structured cost system. Like they've got a lot of stuff in their store. They usually drop the price low. They come out with $100, $110 collector's edition kind of thing, and it's $70. But they usually, like, we see a repetition with this. Yeah. With your experience in Star Wars Outlaws, do you agree with some of the reviews that have been coming out with it?
Yes, I agree with most of the reviews. Like where the aggregate lies, 77. Perfect score. Yeah. And it's only, and I need to remind folks, that's only 2 behind the Star Wars Fallen Order, which is beloved and for many of folks, peak Star Wars video game. Yeah. I also want to remind folks, Jedi Survivor is about 84, 85 on the Metacritic / OpenCritic range. Yeah. That said, I'm really enjoying Star Wars Outlaws so much, I doubled down. Not only was I provided a code by Ubisoft, but I got the Target pre-order for the Steelbook.
Can you show that again? I want to get a good look at that.
It's nice. It's a little dark because of the lighting, but
that's really pretty though.
And then look, they got the spine right. It says Star Wars Outlaws on the side.
Fantastic.
I agree with many of the scores. I do not, and I preface this with 2 things. Mm-hmm. I didn't run into many bugs. You know, Logan, as well as I do, when you're previewing a game, they'll let you know the bugs that they have currently or they're aware of and that there's a day 1 patch for. And I ran into a few of those and went, okay, I'm assuming there's a day 1 patch.
Yeah.
There are some where, I got booted out of a session 3 times in my 35 hours played. Those little quirky bugs did not get in my way of experiencing the game much. That said, I did not experience the very aggravating bug early on that I saw many reviewers come to me with, which is they weren't able to leave the first level and they had to start over. And the first level could take anywhere between 2 to 16 hours, depending on how deep you want to engage with that open world. I can understand those review scores. So when people go, oh, I've seen 4s and 5s because it's so buggy, that's not my experience, but I can understand that those experiences exist, but they can't influence my review because I didn't experience them.
Yeah.
Right? That said, where would you like me to go with Star Wars Outlaws first and foremost?
First off, I really want to know, how do you feel about the story? Because Kay and Nyx are adorable, and there was and on the box it actually has like one of the droids that we saw in Rogue One. No.
Rogue One. Oh, you mean the assassin droid?
Yes. So I want to know more about those characters. Did you like them? Were they interesting? How was the writing for the story?
The writing is actually, to me, probably one of the lower scores. Yeah, I think if you're, again, I don't want to compare it to the likes of, a Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but it didn't hit those peaks for me. There was never a moment where I was like, oh my God. It was just like, okay, the writing kind of falls flat in the character department. Though I will say, like ND1 is he has potential. I think K has potential. I think sometimes in the voice booth, someone's directing Umberly, which is the voice actress. They're directing her in a weird way, and yeah, I don't buy some of the things she says because it feels like she's reading from a script. Again, those are like a few key moments where I'm like, nah, this is no Cameron Monaghan. Where the writing is perfect is the relationship with Kay and Nyx, and Nyx is the highlight of this whole story. I think Nyx is an excellent companion. I think he's right. He's not up there with R2D2, but like he shares a good space with BD1 as like a really good, solid companion that the Star Wars universe can take and go, okay, we're gonna put this in a Mandalorian episode somewhere.
Yeah.
But like the writing is average. It doesn't hit high highs. It doesn't hit low lows. But where it does hit really well is this is a scoundrel story. You know, we've seen the Jedi story so many times of like the balance between the light and the dark. This is about being a scoundrel, which means you're constantly being betrayed. You're constantly doing the betraying. You don't know who to trust, and your allies are as fickle as you are. And I think that's the really interesting beat that I hope they carry on if this game gets a sequel, which I feel like it should.
Yeah.
Because those elements were really great. There was one character I met and I was like, oof, this guy's voice acting is not great. I don't like that they're part of my team. And I was like, oh no, I got double crossed. Oh great, he's dead. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, this is great. And that happens a lot more than you think. Not in the like I'm being betrayed portion, but like the plan is always in flux. And I think that's what they get really well. Again, Kay has promise. She has the similarities of the smuggler that we know, but isn't so tonally trying to be Han Solo. She's very much her own person who is new to the game and very fresh at it. So doesn't understand all the, tricks up everyone's sleeves. So writing is average, but there is promise here in a sequel.
I'm interested that they didn't, and maybe this is a little bit of a spoiler potential here, because I genuinely don't know. So apologies if this may be a little bit of a leading, and if you feel like it's too spoilery, feel free to shut it down. We can jump on. Do they have like a mentor style character for Kay to kind of get into this, or is she just kind of like on her own for this whole time?
Yes, and I can't go into why I don't feel it works here.
Oh, okay. Dang.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. All right. That's dang it. Okay. So one of the other
there's a way that they tell this story in like the past and in present that I really wish they told the whole past first instead of like they like to spoon feed you throughout the story of like Kay's origins. And I'm like, just tell me her origins or wait till the sequel. Like this is the way it's presented. I was not digging it. That's all I'll say on that.
Okay. Interesting.
That's the only part I was like, we'll just cut the tape.
So, okay. So one of the parts that kind of ties into this is you mentioned a lot about like the actual betrayal and betraying thing. There's a reputation system that's built into this game that I genuinely wished was in games like Cyberpunk 2077. Given the number of gangs that they had in Cyberpunk, I was very disappointed to find out that you could ostensibly do all of the content because you didn't have like any hatred, or there was no malice towards who you're loyal to, or how many jobs you were doing for different gangs. In Star Wars, the reputation system's set up so that you will gain favor with different gangs in the game. Does that lend itself to like, first off, does that restrict content from being able to be done? And if it does, do you think that would be something that you'd enjoy going back to do a different playthrough of?
I wish it did. Like the reputation system, when shown in the preview event, had a lot more promise for me until it. And I think this is the only thing that's truly disappointing pointed me, which is the reputation in system in theory is really interesting, but how it's executed is like, the Huts may be angry with you, but there's things called brokers that you get to meet up with, and they help repair those relationships. Now, you might F over the pikes by doing so, and they may be a little, grumple stillskin with you, but you can fix your relationship with those factions relatively easy. And I really wish there was more consequence of like, no, Jabba just hates you now. And you have to, you have to watch your back when you're in Mos Eisley,
Dang.
That's the only truly like mediocre thing to me.
Yeah.
All right.
I very much wish, and this is like my dream game here, because there's so many little bits of Outlaws that I think are great that I would love to see them have maybe gone a different approach. And one of the ways that I would have liked that is by being able to play as different characters through the game. And the way I would have it kind of set up is, depending on how you played with Kay, you would meet different characters in different reputations, and then based on that gameplay, you could do like a new game plus as one of the main characters that you met on Kay's journey, and be able to like say like, okay, well, like this person betrayed me and they were part of this gang, and as a result they were kicked out of the gang and now have to defect over to the other gang, and you get to play through that reputation quest line through that. Something like that was what I was always thinking like would be really cool when we first kind of heard about Outlaws, and I always wondered how they would play off the reputation system. So it's a shame that they don't really enforce some of the rule or some of the choices that you make, that you can kind of backtrack that a little bit. But I guess from my mindset, I'm not too upset about that, because I think given the nature of Star Wars and gangs and different, like, money is the real power in this case. So if you can use power and money to influence other gangs and your reputation with them, you can buy your way into just about any gang if you have enough creds. So like maybe that kind of I'm making excuses for a system.
No, you're giving good lore reasons as to why it would work this way.
Okay.
And you're right. I think all of them, their only motivation is how do I get more money and screw over the most people. And if I need to use you to do that, I will. And that happens a lot, which
That's cool.
really like. It's like nobody has hard feelings. So again, I can understand why this reputation's this way, but I kind of wish they did have hard feelings.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree there. So one of the things I wanted to jump into as well, open world game. How were the open worlds? This is the same team that's been working on Avatar. Avatar's an amazingly beautiful game. I think it's going to be the next benchmark game for a lot of GPU tests that come out in the future, the way Cyberpunk has been. Did they do a good job with the open world, given that this is kind of our first real foray into it outside of any like MMOs?
In terms of aesthetic, you can understand why they chose Ubisoft as a partner to make this game.
Yeah.
Because they are the artors of just authenticity of open worlds.
Yeah.
And no different here.
That's good.
Especially in Mos Eisley, especially in some other planets, but especially Mos Eisley, where it really does feel like it's ripped out of several movies and then just lumped into this, and it doesn't feel like in the Disney portion of Mos Eisley. It just feels like it's one city, and I stress this all the time. These might be some of my favorite cities, because it actually feels like feels like it exists whether I'm in that city or not. It feels like there's a lot of people out in the streets, right? Like there's merchants, there's patrol guards, there's just people just crossing back and forth. There's a bunch of people in the cantina. The atmosphere is great. It's incredibly accurate. And again, some of the sights and sounds are not just like familiar, but they're perfect homages.
That's awesome.
So like some of the obvious ones, great. And if you're a hardcore fan, there's so much here for you. So much. As a hardcore fan to hopefully another listening, there's so much here for you.
I'm curious.
This is the great aspect of the game. If there's one thing this game does great, open world. Especially, go on.
No. I want you to. I want to focus in on this because I have a couple questions. You talk about Mos Eisley, and I got to know, like, Jabba's Palace, pod racing. Like, give me some details. Are those places available? Are those places,
I have
just
not
kind of
seen
off in
the pod
distance?
racing, but I've seen pod racers.
Oh,
I've been in Jabba's Palace. Holy shit, it's nice.
is it?
The attention to detail, man, it's nuts. It's nuts. And even like parts of Jabba's Palace again that they've taken straight from the movies.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily feel like it's like all right, gang, here's the greatest hits. It's like, no, here's some things because they make sense that they're here. Even
Rancor?
down to, I can't say anything about the Rancors, but like, there you definitely feel like there's a presence of them. And even down to like things like the Book of Boba Fett is, sets in Book of Boba Fett are here and present. If you're present when you're watching that show, I know I was.
I think you mean like the season 2.5 of Mandalorian. Are you talking about? Okay. Just
Yes.
make sure there's a lot
But
of
like
shows.
you go to Tashi Station, like
Oh, fun.
it's awesome. That's the only one I'll give out. The rest you gotta find. But when I was like Tashi Station, I wondered what's nearby.
So with this, do we get like some of the cool nostalgic stuff like Jabba's oh my gosh, I'm just blanking on the spaceship name that they call it, the
Slave One?
No, the frigate that he has, like his palace.
Yeah.
Do you see stuff like that? Do you see like sandworms or not the Sarlacc pits? You get all that. That sounds like fun.
I
That just
cannot
sounds like such a
confirm
good
or
fun.
deny that I squealed like a girl at one of those things. And yeah, dude, like again,
Okay.
they're like, hey, you're a Star Wars fan. We're not even gonna treat this shit surface level. You're gonna interact with the things we know you want to interact with. That's all I'll say about that.
So this goes back to one of the things
5.
that
You see a Sarlacc pit. All right, fine. You get another one. And it's real cool. It's real cool.
So these are the things that I'm excited about for this game, because as someone who's a huge Harry Potter fan, getting a game like Hogwarts Legacy really did give me exactly what I wanted from a Hogwarts game, like a Wizarding World game. It gave me the feel and the nostalgia and the references, the deep references that I wanted, but it gave me a story that was fresh and felt interesting and compelling in a way that most of the Fantastic Beast films fell flat on, and the books only really did justice towards the later half of the films for the Harry Potter franchise. With Star Wars Outlaws, do you feel like this is going to do something akin to that for the Star Wars fans? Are they going to feel like they're being served up a game that really is a testament to their fandom?
Yes.
That's cool.
That's how at least I feel. I know the Star Wars fandom is a toxic bunch, but as a person that loves Star Wars, I literally said it at a certain point I just mentioned that this is my Hogwarts Legacy. And listen, it's not as good as Hogwarts. I'll be real. It's not as good as Hogwarts Legacy. But in terms of the authenticity of its open world, damn, it's good. And like the open world is not like an Ubisoft checklist. You're going up to people in the random city, and they're not even highlighted or marked. You're just walking up to them because they have a little dot on them, which means you can interact with them. And then they go, hey, listen, my cousin was chasing some banthas, and he's going to need some help. And I'm like, okay, I'll go help your cousin, right? or you're just going throughout the open world, and you see, a pirate camp, and ND1's like, yo, you want to, you can mess these guys up, like. There's so much that you just walk up and discover. They were very much inspired by Red Dead Redemption and Ghost of Tsushima when it comes to its open world, down to like Nick's found something interesting, so you're gonna follow him like he's a little fox boy, but he's even better than a fox. He's a cute little man, and like you get to see beautiful vistas or like dig like ancient treasure. Like you get so much out of it by just exploring. Even some of the like the food portions, where you get to like eat some street
I've seen
food.
some of that. Yeah.
It's right out of Monster Hunter. Like Monster Hunter? Well, take out the cat people and put in a really good, like, Guy Fieri chef right there, robot chef. And, like, you do little cute mini games that help, like, build the bond that you have with Nyx. And also gives him special bonuses that you get to switch on and off of.
Oh,
the open world's really, really good. I really enjoy it. And it has the opportunity to be great if there was more variety in some of the things I'm doing, and if the combat spoke more to the open world itself, because I bet that's the next portion you got for me.
I was genuinely curious. One of the things I want to shout out is Scuba Steve from the Jedi game is like one of my favorite characters, and I hope that they have something kind of like that. You mentioned something that kind of gives me that vibe. But I am genuinely curious because most of the Star Wars games that we get are either in fighters or with a lightsaber. There's not too many where we generally run around like Dash Rendar shooting things with a blaster. So how did combat feel to you? Does it feel like something that needs polish, or do you feel like it was serviceable enough? Because I feel like that's the big criticism so far.
So the scale is from frustratingly mediocre to, oh, this is very good. Like the tone that I think they wanted to hit was like, it's like when Han walks out of the camp on the moon of Endor, and he's like, yeah, it's like I tried to go stealthy, but dang it, I did have to punch some people in the mouth. It's that type of smuggler vibe that when it works perfectly and you're able to break stealth because something goes awry and you don't feel like you're punished for it, you go, this is the essence of what this game should be, and I think that the sequel will get right here. The problem is that there's too many systems in place, and the game is constantly fighting itself of what game it wants to really be. Does it really, like, I feel like the stealth is at odds with its combat, especially because a lot of this is hand to hand. So there are times where like I stun a guy, or I sick Nyx on one guy, and I try to hit the other dude, and they're right next to each other, and I hit the guy that Nyx is on, and now the other guy sounded the alarm, and now the whole base knows where I am, and it's infuriating, and that happens one too many times. The stealth portions are the weakest part, and that's crazy to me because this is the publisher of Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
And it feels like either the AI are the next Sherlock Holmes, or the AI are the dumbest, most tunnel visioned folks you'd ever meet in your life. Because it's either one or the other, and that's where it's annoying.
Because one of the things that that you brought up kind of at the beginning of this when we were talking about stories is this is kind of like Kay's first real foray into being a smuggler, and Nyx, a friend and companion, not someone you can like actually like properly communicate. It's effectively.
Oh no,
like,
you're communicating with Nyx.
Well, I mean, I'm not okay. Nyx doesn't speak your language, so the feedback there is all body language and little noises and stuff. So, with this in mind, do you feel like the combat feels clunky at a gameplay mechanic level, or do you feel like this is her just not being as suave as more seasoned mercs?
It's definitely on the mechanic level. Okay. One of the things that it hinders this game tremendously is the first few hours, you don't have all your abilities, right? Yeah. Nor should you, but some of the basic ones you should have, like being able to set off thermal detonators on guys, being able to, and I think one thing that was fun in theory, which is like, hey, there's a fuel tank. This guy likes to hang around it. Blow up the fuel tank, right? Just send Nix out to do it. That takes way too long, and by the time Nix sets it all off, that guy's long gone. And so some of those things just don't gel well together. And the way you get abilities is by you interacting with the world and interacting with these brokers that are around the world. Some that the story introduces you to, and others you have to find. And so if you don't find those brokers and they don't tell you to find them, you're not going to get some really crucial abilities. And so I feel like that should have been a tree that Kay could have put points into, so that you can get some things that should be available to you early on that you just don't. And that part is infuriating, because like for the folks that go, oh, you know, Kay doesn't have all this at her disposal. And I've seen a few of these reviews that go, no, you definitely do. You just never ran into them. And that no fault of the reviewer, because they don't tell you to go meet them necessarily. So like though they highlight them, it's not in your face, because the quest log is very crowded. So the combat is, again, it's never great, and for me it's never bad. It's just somewhere between mediocre and very good.
Do you feel like you were overwhelmed with too many abilities when it comes to, or too many options?
No. In fact, I'd actually like some more. And again, that's why I'm like, this game is a really solid foundation for the sequel, of which I hope it gets. Because like there's a lot of abilities that I'd like Kay to have off the get. And more options for Kay to have and use off the rip, that I feel like they can do in a sequel. The one thing that I really like about the combat is how many different ways that you can approach a situation.
Yeah.
It does seem like there's always, at the very least, 3 to 4 different ways to get to an objective. And that is something that I really appreciate. So you're never going through the same fortress twice. And I like that.
That's really cool. Was there anything else that you feel like you wanted to call out? Because for me, I feel like I get a good enough sense of whether or not this is a game that I'm probably going to pick up now or later. I generally feel like this is one that I would like to see, given some of the like Digital Foundry videos or like gameplay things that I've seen from friends streaming it online, that it could be served to have a little time to get some patches out to kind of ease some of the optimization issues that could be addressed. Maybe some AI fixes that they could bring in with later patches. So I feel confident that I've got enough on my plate that I generally don't need to jump into this right away, which is tough, because as a Star Wars fan, this game is calling my name, and it's like, play me, please play me. And I'm like,
for me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I said it on the trophy room, I'll say it here. As a huge Star Wars fan, this is a game I feel like if you're a huge Star Wars fan, this is a game for you. This is a really good, fun game that deserves your day one play.
Interesting.
If you're not a huge Star Wars fan, you're like a casual fan or whatnot, you could definitely wait a week or two, maybe for the first sale, and hop on it. There is obviously bugs that I have not run into that are there that need to be fixed and addressed. And there are obviously AI fixes that, you're right, can get patched out and fixed and made a better time for folks. And I think the first big patch probably will address those things, and that's where I'd feel more comfortable. So maybe wait on a sale if you're not a huge Star Wars fan, but if you are, man, jump in, because it's a fun time. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you can't make me hate this game.
Yeah.
But I also understand everyone's frustrations are valid. But I really hate the idea, and it's the thing that Luke often hits, is like, 7s are good, and 7s are worth your time, and 7s are worth buying day one. Yeah. And so I played a good game, And so that's why I say, yeah, it's worth your day one.
That's really good here, honestly. One of the things I've been teasing that I might jump into is trying out Ubisoft Plus, because I know that that'll give me a lower barrier to entry and at least 30 days to give it some time and actually like find out like, okay, I could probably jump into this and get it knocked out in a month. That's not a hard thing to ask. 35 hours is not hard to ask if you're a Star Wars fan. For $15 on day one, I could justify that. I could actually justify that if I stayed committed. I think is the biggest question, is how committed can you be when it comes to something like that? Because for me, I definitely want to jump into this. I would love to kind of see, like, keep an eye over the next maybe like a week, see if there's any patches that come out, and if there are, fantastic. And then if that's the case, then be like, all right, cool, let's go ahead. Let's sign up for Ubisoft Plus. We'll do a month. I'll jump in, see if I can get through Star Wars. If I don't, then I'll just hold off. I've still got my save. That's the nice thing about consoles, man. You just got that cloud save sitting there. You can just have that ready to go for when you get that Black Friday sale at 50% off or something, and like pick it up for $40 or $35, because they'll do it. It's Ubisoft. It's just a matter of time with them. So very happy about that. But anything else you want to jump into with Star Wars outside of that, or are you good on that?
No, I'm just trying to plug in my mouse. It doesn't want to get plugged in for shit. No, I'm good. Awesome. Again, it's a good game. The one thing I will say about the combat is, again, while it's not perfect, and you heard me complain quite a bit about the stealth, man, oh man, it's still really fun. Yeah, it's still really fun, especially like if you break stealth, and in those perfect moments, you're like, oh my god. Yeah, I see where the developer thought this is it, because it is. When it sings pretty darn well. It's just it's just consistently out of pitch.
Well, I'm sure that there's opportunities in sequels, or at least in patches and stuff like. Every time you say break stealth, it just makes me think of Austin Powers in Breaking Wind first, and then I keep thinking like, oh, what if you break stealth by breaking wind? And then I'm sitting here thinking like, what would Kay be like if they actually presented her as someone just farting in like a stormtrooper? Like, what was that?
What was that? Yeah. But like, there's also some funny things, like when you're like, because like, again, it's an Ubisoft stealth game, so you've played Assassin's Creed, you could probably understand the gist here, where you're like, I'm in this guy's periphery, man. Like, you can't tell me I'm not. And then, there was one funny thing where I was approaching him, like, I'm in this guy's peripheral. How am I he's not seeing me? And the guy just goes, man, I can't see a damn thing in this helmet. I'm like, yeah. And then I clunked him over the head. I'm like, right, they're stormtroopers.
That should be like I swear, any stealth game, and this is a call out for devs. If you're making a stealth game and you've got crouching as like your way of stealthing around and stuff like that, if you can build into the AI for the character that is like stationed at the place where it needs to have like a stealth takedown, if you do like wander into that kind of periphery vision, just have like a one-off line that's like, man, being tunnel visioned really sucks for this job, and then just
and then plunk them over the head. And the one thing I will say, because I think it was the one thing that I also constantly saw that I want to make note of before we get on off of this topic, more opportunities to distract and sabotage enemies. That would help with the stealth quite a bit. Those should be quite early on in the game, more than they are. Because once you do get those things, stealth opens up greatly and becomes good.
Yeah.
And when you don't have them for 6 hours, you're like, this can be a little frustrating. So I understand the frustrations to some, of which I found, but never really broke the immersion for me.
I first off, got a shout out, Todd Oxtra jumping in. Hey Todd, Hello. How you doing? Good to see you. I wanted to ask, because you and I, and this will play a little bit into PlayStation territory, because you and I are such fans of Ghost of Tsushima, how does the stealth feel compared to Ghost when playing through with Outlaws? Because that is kind of like, for me, Ghost is one of the most enjoyable experiences as someone who doesn't typically like do stealth games. That there were very much like times as Jin, I'm sitting there like thinking like, I am not an assassin, I'm a samurai, I'm screwing this up, and I break stealth. And next thing you know, I'm like, all right, well, cool. We're just going to sword fight through the rest of this. And that's how I'm going to go about this, because that's my forte.
I think with a patch, they can fix some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it seems like when you mess up, there's like, and we're going to send endless amount of stormtroopers your way, and you're just going to get, and it's like, no. Let's just, like, I understand if they sound the alarm, like, that should be the only way. Sometimes they can do it with their comms, and you're like, no, that sucks, because now I have this huge wanted level. I'm not a fan of that. Yeah. I feel like if they patched that out, you would have something that's much more akin to Ghost of Tsushima, and I think that players would like that more.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's an unfair comparison to me, because you and I view Ghost of Tsushima as it's one of my favorite games of all time for that reason, and I think Ghost does the perfect job of giving you those tools exactly when you need them to do all that stuff, or to break it when you want.
Yeah, and honestly, that is one of the reasons why I bring it up, is because you and I both really put Ghost in high regard when it comes to the gameplay with the stealth and that. So when I play through Star Wars, that is kind of the level that it has to hit for me to consider the stealth a success, which I genuinely in most games don't really enjoy doing. So that's why.
Think of the stealth more akin to a marriage between Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
And much more leaning into the Assassin's element.
Sounds good. That's good to know. Shout out to Nerd Chat. Dan, thanks, man, coming in with the love the review. Joe, much appreciated, man.
Hey, much appreciated back at the Nerd Chat. As much crap as I like to give them, I just appreciate their drive and their ability to cheat when needed in Fantasy Critic League. So thank you.
Yeah, scoundrel as ever.
Scoundrels through and through.
Yeah, perfect game for them. Right, just a little bit of a housekeeping update. I did want to let you guys know Luke did an amazing interview with Keelhauled. Their studio came out with a really interesting RPG that is up over on the channel as well too. So just click on Xbox Expansion Pass. You'll see it down in the actual feed for Keelhauled interview. I myself finally got out the Creatures of Ava review. That one is out there. That is an adorable game that really is, if you have any kids or friends that are trying to understand how open world works before you toss them into the fray for something like Star Wars Outlaws, Creatures of Ava is a fantastic game. It's over on Game Pass right now. Dive into it. It's a great game to listen to other content for. So if you like listening to like audiobooks or podcasts or having streamers up, Creatures of Ava is one of those games where you can have fun and not necessarily like require every ounce of brain power to play through when running around and having fun. So, and cute story too. Joe, you and I, you're definitely a much better Call of Duty player than I am. And I've had the Call of Duty Next event running in the background on my TV this episode. But I wanted to bring this up because you and I play Call of Duty on the regular, and the Black Ops 6 beta is now open for those that are signed up for it. If you got a code, awesome. We both got codes, thanks to them for providing them. And I wanted to kind of like get your thoughts and some feelings on this. Did you get a chance to actually watch the Call of Duty Next first off? You're muted, and I can't believe you muted yourself as a professional podcaster.
I know. Wow. I have not played the game myself. I wanted to last night, but then I got into a little bout of Vampire Survivor.
Oh, did you?
I couldn't listen. I'm already really close to the platinum. Like, I think I should get that by the next podcast. Nice. Yeah. I think by Monday I should have it. But
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a good game.
Tell me a bit about this event, man.
Oh my god,
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and I think this might be up my alley.
This first off, it's going to take you about 3 months of hating the game before you finally understand the gunplay, and then you'll of course come around to it and said it's one of the best games ever made.
Cool. I just want to say I'm still not there. Like as a Call of Duty fan, I do not like Modern Warfare 3. I play it because I'm with my boys. Yeah. But I don't like some of those mechanics in that game.
I will be interested to see your thoughts on the Omni movement, because as controller players, I don't feel like it is good for controller, but I argue that controller is probably the best for Call of Duty right now. What they had was the Call of Duty Next showcase, where they basically went through the different modes to actually break down multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone. All of the changes that are going to be coming into them, things to look forward to, and really kind of emphasizing the new movement changes with Omni movement. So if you're not familiar, Omni movement allows you to run and sprint in any direction and to dive. And when you land in that mode, when you're actually prone, you can actually be in a supine position where you can be like laying on your back and firing forward and ahead of you, and kind of roll over and be able to do a full 360 degree without your actual body like rotating. You're actually rolling on the ground, which is a lot more natural, instead of having to like shuffle to the side. So it doesn't kind of have that weird little thing where your body is like sticking out from behind a wall because you turn the wrong way. I only got to play a few matches today, so I can't really say like it definitely like this is going to be amazing. But I really did think that this game feels quicker, and the time to kill in multiplayer is a lot faster. That was something where I was like, okay, I actually kind of dig this, because I can usually get a few shots on someone pretty quickly. Like I can usually zone in on them and get like a quick few shots. You are going to have a hell of a time enjoying just murking people's faces. But for me, if I don't kill someone within those first few hits, I am probably going to die, because the exchange is just I'm not as good with the exchange. So for me, feeling like I kept coming out of this with a positive KDA, the time that I spent on the beta was enjoyable, beyond just what I was doing with this combat little tutorial video that I'm showing right now. This is actually my gameplay, so apologies if you're sitting here thinking like this idiot doesn't know what the hell to do. Just read the screen, because I didn't. But one of the things
so bad, you guys.
I know I really am. They're coming out with a bunch of new stuff. The biggest thing that I think is really interesting is that they have got 2 categories for the actual maps. So they've got 12 new actual multiplayer maps, actually new ones. They're split up into 2 categories. There's a 6v6 group of maps and 4 compact strike maps. And then they've also got another 6 that are going to be 6v6 and 2v2 combinations. So kind of think like how Halo has like their big team maps and then their standard maps. And that's gonna be like the standard like 6v6 versus like the smaller 6v6 or 2v2s. Right. So I like that with this, it'll be a little more frenetic gameplay. The maps that I played on were actually really fun. I liked how they have a lot more built-in verticality with some of the different areas. You can really kind of get up into different areas. But they've definitely built in this idea of using omnidirection and dive shooting, which I generally think that is going to be like the skill-based separation between a lot of people when it comes to how good you are in Call of Duty. Right. If you're able to get those hits with just diving and shooting, you're gonna 9 times out of 10 probably win.
I'm gonna just say right here about the gameplay that I'm being shown.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't need to show it. Sometimes
all right.
you
know what?
Show it at all.
You know what? Here's the thing. I wanted to. I was not paying attention.
That's okay.
I didn't.
That's
read
obvious.
The very like minor differences between the actual like. Cause I'm reading and it says sprint to move forward. And then it didn't go away. And I was like, and I didn't recognize that it had actually changed.
Is it until sprint to move right? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but what I will say about everything I've seen, everything I've heard, this is going to be the most change that they have seen since Advanced Warfare in terms of the changing of mechanics. And I can already see this game being very divisive. Very divisive, because there are some people where I'm seeing online going, well, if I don't have back paddles on my controller, this is not worth it, because there's so many clear advantages to having that pro controller than something like this, right? And then I'm seeing other people going like, there are meaningful changes to evolve Call of Duty that have been long overdue, and as for the type of player I am more of a submachine gun, light assault rifle player.
You're gonna love it.
This looks like, and I'm very aggressive. This looks like it's right up my alley. Like everything I'm seeing, it's like the diving. You're right. I think how people will move with Omni movement with that system.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the difference maker, because now it's not just. Here's the one thing that I love about what I'm seeing in the gameplay department here. It's now not just like tapping L3, right? It's like up down or jump, to get ahead of a shootout. Now it's like slide to the left, slide to the right, do the cha-cha, y'all. Like that's the movement seems more. It just seems more in depth than just something simple of clicking a button a whole bunch of times. It's like, no, there's a lot more thought in it. So, I'm very interested to dive in, because I'm deeply excited. I am Call of Duty pilled since MW2. So, dude, or 1 actually.
I'm gonna tell you, if SMG is what you'd like to run and you're aggressive in Call of Duty multiplayer, like, is gonna be your thing. Oh, hi, baby.
Oh, you guys got a Jiminy too?
No,
we got a little cricket boy, and he likes
his
freaking mouth.
I have,
and Kyle can't find him. He's like, you don't understand. I've been hunting him for years. Every late August, early September. So you guys got the cat?
That's Fern, or as affectionately called, Motion Sensor. And when she doesn't get love, she comes in. She's a very loud cat. Gotcha. So this was I did the fruit cart thing in the training mode.
You got to see the physics. You got to see the fruit physics.
Yeah, I did the fruit cart thing. Funny enough, a lot of stuff was actually destructible. A lot of stuff was not destructible. But I had a good time kind of testing out some of that stuff. The
gun you're using, I've used in real life.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah, and
actually
because
really
I got big fat hands.
Yeah.
When the slide it bites, there's something called like slide bite, I believe it's the term's called, and it hurts like a bitch.
Oh, it does.
So I'm just seeing your guy like shoot this thing like it's nothing, and I'm like, oh no, he's gonna get a bruise.
It's why you wear gloves, man. You don't want that to be avoided. If you're running, if you like light assault and SMG, you're gonna have a lot of fun. But there's going to be a learning curve when it comes to the Omni dive and shooting and stuff. And
well, I'll tell you what.
Oh,
what about we play tonight? What's stopping us from playing tonight?
Nothing.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
Okay. Are you gonna bring your lady friend over?
She's out of town right now, but
she's out of
potentially town. Because she just bought a Republica gaming laptop with a mouse and keyboard and a controller and a headset.
Right.
No.
Yeah. She's at the RNC. I was like, oh boy.
No.
Right.
She's got a new gaming laptop so that she could play some games while she's out visiting friends and stuff.
I'm thinking now. Here's the thing. Okay, as I've mocked PC gaming, I have been thinking about picking up a PC laptop now. She's determined. Nissa is determined to turn me into a ROG Ally player. Every time there's a sale, she's like, "Hey, listen, it's $400. Look at this, refurbished." And I'm like, "You don't know me, because I can't. That's another person's problem, and they're giving it to me.
Yeah.
I gotta go. When I buy something, guys, this is my fault. I gotta go big or gotta go home. So it's like that $900 version, looking pretty tasty, you know."
Yeah. Yeah.
But then at that point, just go out there, buy a laptop.
If it's got to be refurbished, do I want to even like test the waters with that? Because man, I would much rather repair my own junk with parts that I bought off of like iFixit than have to worry about a refurbished. And that's just my own issue. I'm right there with you. I had a point that I was totally gonna go.
Also,
for.
and this is in the chat. So, could you share with the chat your lovely accomplishment? Because I don't want to do that because I don't know if you want to. But it's a very great accomplishment.
Yeah,
you should
some really good news.
And I know the audience would love to hear it. But yeah. No, I'm very excited for this game. Nonetheless, other than our audience members trying to tempt us with, poor financial decisions.
Poor or good deals, because it seems like there's investments that need to be made, but there's discretionary.
Oh, you finally learned how to strife left and right.
You know what?
But no, man, Call of Duty's great. Do you think this is going to move the needle for Xbox? I know that it's on Game Pass right now, right? The beta.
That's a big question. I do think that it will move the needle because of Game Pass, because the Vault Edition is up, and it's $30 if you have Game Pass Ultimate. Wow. So you can actually upgrade to the Vault Edition, which has like the Black Cell, it has the Season Pass, it has the Operator skins, it's got the COD points and stuff for $30 with your Game Pass. And it's something I really liked with Forza Horizon 5 that they did. It's something that I didn't like with the Buyback Edition for Redfall. But that's kind of how you got to take your chances on that when it comes to digital content and stuff.
That's fair.
Zombies is back to wave-based mode, and I don't know about you, but they have some really cool video footage of what's going on with zombies. They've done a ton of changes. It's a complete overhaul on how they've done like a lot of the like the power-ups. You can now actually like infuse zombie mutations, so you can actually be like one of the maulers for a short amount of time. It's nuts. They've really gone in and just completely rehauled the whole horde wave based mode. I think it's going to be a huge success for them. The way ZMG or no, who is it? ZMG, right?
Because I've not messed with zombies much outside of World at War, and then they were just like, there's weird storylines now. There was a good Avenged Sevenfold song out of it, but then it got way too intricate. I'm like, can you just bring me back to the wave base portions? Is that in the beta too? Is zombies in the beta or no? No,
it's not, and that's one of the problems that I had with the beta is that it's just multiplayer. Now you are getting a chance to kind of. I think it's a good time to. They are doing like promotions to like prestige out during the beta to get you like skins and stuff. But I really did feel like they should have had a little bit of all the modes available to you to be able to like get a good gauge on how to actually like see what these modes are going to be like and what you're going to like. Warzone's got some really good updates coming to it. I think the biggest news is that Verdansk is coming back. Nice. Super excited for that. And then Area
nobody
99.
Likes the map. Nobody likes this map.
Yeah. So it's nice that they're bringing that one back. I think a lot of people are going to really have a good time.
Now, will this
Warzone
also benefit from Omni movement?
It will, and a lot of the content that you currently have from Modern Warfare 2 and 3 is going to push forward into Black Ops 6's Warzone as well too. So a lot of the skins,
my skins,
the skins and stuff that we have are going to come back.
All of them should, but okay.
So here's what they actually wanted to say about this. It will carry forward content. That means weapons, blueprints, operators, and skins, and many cosmetics from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and 3 can be carried over, as well as full integration into the gameplay and cosmetic content for Black Ops 6, which I like.
Okay. Okay.
That's how you serve it. That's how you do that's how you do like the annual releases,
Yeah.
with a game mode that's like free to play, kind of Fortnite-esque. Since Fortnite you just get content and you just have it forever. They change the map all the time. With Warzone and them having like the annual releases with new content and deals and stuff like that, it's nice that they're at least for Warzone carrying forward with a lot of that, because I don't think that all of the multiplayer content will move over from Modern Warfare 2 and 3 into Black Ops 6, but there's only so much we can really do. I did notice that with the beta, I was running into this weird update bug where it would say like it requires an update, and you'd hit A and then it would cycle do, and it would just keep like going through this loop. It was really weird. So if you are playing through the open beta, just be persistent with it. Don't get discouraged if it keeps running into this, because eventually it will authenticate and you'll actually get into the servers. But outside of that, I'm really invested in this game and kind of going back and having some fun. Back in 1991, I think the weapons back then were a lot more kind of interesting. It was back before we had little orange caps on the ends of our toys, so kind of interesting to jump back into that time frame and see what that campaign's going to be like.
Remember when you didn't need a seatbelt? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember
made a
riding
whole big deal
back in the truck.
They're like, the government's making you wear seatbelts.
Yeah.
God damn it! If I want to launch out of my car when I hit a curb, it's my God-given right to smoke in this Arby's. You remember that?
If I smoke in the car and drop the cigarette, get in a wreck, and then fly out of the car, that's me just wanting to fall with grace.
Remember there was cigarette, like not just trays, but like
the lighters
in there.
I still have a cigarette lighter.
When I was a kid, when I was a little dumb idiot, I went boop. I'm like, what does this button do? And I pressed it. I didn't realize I turned it on, and I pressed it again, and I burnt my finger.
Ooh, dang!
I burnt my little fingy. But yeah, I saw we have Bill Clinton, which is great.
Yep.
I want to see, I want to see Herbert Walker, all his glory.
I'm genuinely looking forward to Black Ops. As someone who, for a very long time, it completely ignored Call of Duty games because it was very much like a bro-y game. Things like that in Fortnite, getting to play with you and Luke and Kev and Suddy and stuff have really just kind of like given me a sense of like, oh, this is really fun. I've had a really good time with this. I do think that Xbox has done a great job of marketing for this in a time where they genuinely just are not good with marketing. So from your perspective, usually you come into this from the PlayStation perspective. Is it kind of annoying that you don't have that early access that you typically get with Call of Duty games?
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I feel nothing, and maybe that's because I knew I couldn't partake early in this whatever period. But like, it's totally fine. And like the little bonuses that I get, okay, they're gone now, and I'm fine with that too. The little XP bonus will be the most I miss from it, but that's like 5%. It's like, all right, whatever. Yeah. So
that was, I think I'm very curious to see how PlayStation fans react to a lot of the privileges that they got as a result of their ecosystem of choice being like pulled away and put into Xbox's hands.
Unfairly pulled away, by God.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to if we can do some games today, that'd be great, because I'd really love to see what you end up doing with just your normal gameplay style, and you getting used to the omnidirection stuff. I honestly, I think a lot of us, just in the couple of games that I would play through, you could tell the people that were doing like the jump dives to try and like get used to it. So kills were easy because I just stood there and shot them as they were diving.
All right, cool. Yeah, no. And listen, I got the beautiful and better than the Xbox Elite DualSense Edge controller.
Oh my
God wanted it asymmetrical. That's why he made the controllers asymmetrical.
Oh, is that?
And right, that's the right one where they're both at the bottom.
If you don't know, then do you really deserve the Edge?
No, can I be honest with you? And this is my hot take. You ready? When people complain, what's the better controller, Xbox or PlayStation? I'll tell you, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna own you in both. Like it truly, I can. Though I prefer the PlayStation controller,
Okay.
I prefer it. I literally can barely tell the difference. I just sometimes hit that these triggers are a little bit too high. That's about it. The analog stick placement is such. Here's my hot take. Here's the rant. Here's the fourth one you guys were looking for. My thumbs can't tell the difference. If your thumbs can, you got dumb thumbs. You need to figure that out. That's up to you, your doctor, and the God you worship, not me. Okay, that you're not gonna make it my problem. Because my thumb's a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. My brain can't, disseminate with. Like, come on, guys, you can.
Oh my god,
it's not that bad.
We're not
Every time you cry about, I'm playing on a DualSense instead of my Widow Xbox controller. I'm like, whatever, dude. It's really not a big deal.
It sounds like
you could be playing on a Switch controller. Okay.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I got my Switch Pro controller over there. It's a really good controller.
I was thinking of the Joy-Cons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's way different. I'm very interested to see because we just got the announcement that oh gosh, I just blanked on it. The Wolverine 3. Is it the 3? It just came out from the company that I'm blanking on. Razer.
Oh, okay.
Is it Razer? I think it's Razer.
Or the Scruff?
No, it wasn't.
Because I saw that one looked very nice.
Scruff has
I think
theirs.
Ames over at Season Gaming got to review it. If that's the one you're talking about.
Baldy. Yeah.
And he's so bald. He made this game. He helped make the game. He's the associate director. You know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, look it up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Early on, you see him. All he is wearing glasses instead. It's the same man.
Oh, okay.
Same man.
So
the Wolverine Pro. It is a Razer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Very interested to see how that is because I've been using the Turtle Beach and the Stealth Ultra 2. That's been my daily driver because it's programmable. I have a lot more options with it. But I'm really curious about the Wolverine and how it compares to the Turtle Beach Stealth Ultra. Just in fit and feel, because for me the Turtle Beach is great. It's just a little too light. It's just a little bit. It's a little too light for me, considering I'm used to the Elite 2 and the regular Xbox controller. So
yeah,
I kind of want to get my hands on a Razer or the Wolverine 3 just to kind of get a gauge on that and see like where that goes, because I think that there's definitely potential there, especially given that most Call of Duty players have to have back pedals on their controller, and it's really weird that most people probably don't.
I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna check the Razer As I Live and Breathe, the Wolverine.
The Wolverine. It's the fact that PlayStation isn't doing something where they can make the 3 dashes on this PS5 Pro like Wolverine claws. That
they are.
If they don't, they just need to shut the company down. They just need to sell themselves to someone else because, man,
I need to know if these programmable buttons in the back can come off, because I do not mess with 4 buttons on the back. I like having either 1 or 2. 4 is too many.
I am sorry that your wee little Sony brain cannot comprehend 4 buttons on the back, because that is something that we have had for quite a while. I don't think they're not usually removable. They're usually like, at least and from what I understand, most of them just kind of stay on there. But they're small. You don't really like,
because I use the top right for my crab walking Gears of War. That's the only thing I need. So it's just to spam the B.
Everything that you're saying just feels dirty. I don't know how you play video games. What are you talking about? Crab clawing stuff. Yeah. See, that is a moment. This scene right here. I had that little scene where I spun around. I should have dove and did the 180 degrees. And as soon as I died to that guy, I was like, I'm not using omnidirection. And that's kind of that's my downfall right there. We still won this match, by the way. But overall, I think a lot of people are very interested in how this Black Ops is going to come. It's been a while since we've had a Black Ops game. I think a lot of people are excited for it, and I think the TTK is something I'm going to really enjoy, and I think you're probably going to get a real kick out of it. I really would like to hear your feelings on it, because you're going to be really mad when you die, but you're going to be really ecstatic when you start pushing through people.
I can't wait. I can't wait till the old Joe comes back.
Yeah.
You know? The old Joe that I keep hitting inside. He comes out every once in a while.
I've heard him once.
Oh
So,
yeah.
funny enough, I do actually have an N64 controller. That it's not one that I'd be able to use, but yeah, I definitely have one. Joe,
Yes.
I don't know. You've been playing through a lot. Some of it you can talk about that we have already. Some of it you can't. Over on your show, is there any content that you're able to talk about that you can showcase for us tonight?
No, we're just very excited for Astrobot, of which we did get a review code. That is okay. It happens. It's all right. Little baby boy like me, I'm not. Don't worry. Don't fret.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to get the amazing Khalif Adams on the show to talk about his thoughts on Astrobot. Nice. Very excited. So I'm just. Here's the thing. I'm playing Vampire Survivor at work. I am playing Outlaws at home. Yeah, on my portal, as God intended. Which God you'll never know. Yeah, no, I've been just playing Outlaws, trying to get the platinum. I'm trying to get the platinum before Astro comes out so that I could play Astro and then Space Marine at the same time. Get those platted before God knows something else comes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. No, I'm waiting for that Space Marine too, man. I want that co-op mode. I want to just
it's crossplay.
I know.
So we're all going to be playing that for a good solid month. I hope
they did such a good job with that, man. Like I'm so excited for that. I should have won that fight.
You should have won it. Yeah, there's no excuse.
No, I'm really excited for Space Marine 2. I'm kind of curious now that since I got you on, we're going to be talking about this. What do you got as your game of the year so far?
Balatro. Balatro, not even remotely close.
Oh God. Okay.
Not even remotely. It's Balatro. I put over 135 hours into Balatro. If I said anything other than Balatro right now, I'd be a full of crap liar. It's Balatro. And usually I like at this time of year, I'd like to tease it. Like I usually have a general sense, but I'll be like, oh, it's between these two games. I'd be lying if I was like, it's between Helldivers and Balatro. It's Balatro. Yeah.
That's too funny. I'm not a card guy at all.
I'm not either.
I do like blackjack of all the card
I still
games.
don't know how to play poker.
Yeah, this
is a poker roguelike. I don't know how to play poker, and I'm 135 hours deep with no sign of stopping.
You know, what's funny is that I know how to play what's it called? Sabacc. Is it Sabacc?
Yep, Sabacc.
The Star Wars game?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know how to play Sabacc.
It's in Outlaws.
But I don't know how to play poker.
That's nuts.
I don't understand poker. I can tell you how to play Sabacc.
and also that little side game is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Because like everybody's cheating and you're trying to out cheat them. It's great.
Oh my God, that sounds so good. This is the kind of reviews that I'm wanting out of games that I'm excited about. I don't care if there's bugs. There's bugs in every freaking game. I did Creatures of Ava and I lost like so much progress to saves and stuff like that. I want to know like when am I gonna feed my little baby boy Nix some tasty treats to get some stuff going on. So Joe, I think this is probably a good place to kind of round things out. We did have a couple questions if you still have some time though.
I got like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Like 5.
We'll jump into this. This came from Todd Oxtra, who's in chat, and says, for Mr. Badbit, does Concord's reception and player count have any impact on other upcoming pay live service games? I'm thinking Fair Games, Marathon, and others. Do paid live service games have a future?
No. Concord proves it, and I think if I am a PlayStation first-party game making a live service right now, I am incredibly nervous as to what PlayStation's going to do with Concord. Because, listen, as someone who is enjoying Concord, and I put this, Paul Tassi wrote this thing about Concord of which I disagreed with it. If I could just pull up the tweet real fast, because
it's scary. It's
So
really
Tom Warren
scary.
goes, I don't think Concord isn't selling because it's $40 price point or weak marketing. It's pretty simple. Not a good game, so nobody is buying it. Sea of Thieves is also $40 on PlayStation, but is reportedly selling over 1 million copies. It's
Yeah.
because it's matured into a great game. And I think Tom Warren, while I think he's correct in some of that assessment, I think Sea of Thieves was able to break out back then when it was where the market allowed a live service game to cost money. Even
Yeah.
then, Sea of Thieves was not a success off the rip. It struggled for years, and Microsoft, to their credit, gave that game time to mature and become a great game. And coupled with Game Pass, I think that's what made that game succeed over time, so that by the time it comes out
Yeah.
on PlayStation and it is $40, it has legacy built into it. It has the content that was missing at launch. It has a great foundation around it already and an audience already there. So I think not just simply because Sea of Thieves is a great game, and I think it is. I have over 600 hours in it. It's more than that.
Those are cute numbers, by the way.
Cute numbers.
Yeah.
That being said, though, my response is the crowd that plays Concord digs it. They really enjoy it. I really like it. Ains, who's a big multiplayer guy, loves it. You know, just look at where Concord lands. It's in the part of the hero shooter that the hype has died down, so much so that now Overwatch, which is the premier, everybody knows Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch is free to play now. Valorant literally just came out, and it's also free to play. So the barrier to entry is $0, 0 cents. And coupled with, as much as I really enjoy Concord, I'm not dumb to think it's better than Overwatch. So if I have a better alternative for cheaper, why would I go to Concord when I have Overwatch here? Where I think Concord would have had a chance, and I hate using the past tense because it's still there, they could still turn it whatever, but let's be real with each other. It would have had a chance if it was also free to play, which it originally was. When you look at the original footage of that game when they first showed it off, they said unlockable free runners or free gunners at the rip. So this game was supposed to be free to play. My personal belief, this is where I get into speculation alley, is that PlayStation was like, nah, Helldivers did really well. That was a $40 game.
Yeah.
This will do really well. And I think the other difference, the other thing that allows Helldivers to be a $40 game multiplayer is the fact that, can you name a game that's like Helldivers? Can't.
Starship Troopers Extermination.
I mean, outside of Starship Troopers, outside of its influence, you really can't, right? Like, the market is slim pickings.
Yeah, I think Helldivers had a lot going for it in the the comedy that the obvious like parody that they were going for, because
and that's the thing with Concord. It's like, hey, our cinematics are going to be the thing that pulls you in. You showed me the same cinematics I saw in the beta. None of them are showing me what this story's all about, the grand scope of it all. They're worthless at this point in time. That can't be the only pull. And yes, half the characters look really bad, and half the characters look great. But none of them are memorable.
That is a whole other topic that would be fun to dive into: Western versus Eastern development for character types and stuff. The one thing that I wanted to kind of tack onto this is, do you think Foam Stars going free to play will be any indication on how long Concord will be developed?
I think Concord.
Success.
I think if they allow Concord more time, which again, 25,000, if that number is accurate,
which
it doesn't have time.
Recently reported as 25,000.
It does not have time. That's really bad. But if I were PlayStation and I was trying to get this game back on track, I'd make it free to play as soon as the new year comes in. I'd make it part of the PlayStation Plus game essential list or extra tier, whatever. At the start, I'd give something to players that bought it at $40 and $60 for free, and start building that audience back up. There's something there if they give it the time, but man, they just lost a ton of money on this game.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
I
got like one or two more questions.
I always feel bad about that. Well, and if that's the case, let's jump into.
It's my mother's birthday, and the ice cream cake's defrosting.
Oh no! Gotta get the ice cream. What IPs do you want to come to Balatro?
Bloodborne, Elden Ring, anything from Software.
Easy enough. I will toss in Witcher and.
It's already there.
Oh, Witcher's already in there.
There's a Witcher deck. Yep.
When you say that, can you say it a little bit slower?
There's a Witcher deck in there, yeah.
Oh, Geralt. All right. I think we've stained this podcast as much as we possibly can. Let's go ahead and wrap things up.
Okay.
Joe, if you don't mind, do me the service of plugging all of your socials as well as where people can find your content.
Yes, no, I will plug away as I normally do. And gang, guys, gals, people of all ages, I have some news. So you can find me over at the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Wednesday night over at youtube.com/PS Trophy Room at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on podcast services the very next day, you can hear me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation. Now, you can follow me at Mr. Badbit at The Bad Place. You can follow me at Mr._Badbit on Threads, The Good Place. We're also doing a giveaway for Astrobot on PS5. Listen, I know this is an Xbox show, but listen, there's a few ways to enter. If you allow me this much, you can follow me at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You can leave the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. You can share it at me at Twitter, or you can join our Discord. You could drop it in the Astrobot giveaway channel, and like and retweet my pinned post on platform X, Twitter. Logan, thank you so much for having me on. Now I gotta run downstairs. I gotta wish my mother a happy birthday. She turns 64 years old, like the N64. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Everyone, definitely. Oh my God. Everyone, just right in Luke's age range here for perspectives. Everyone, make sure you guys check out all the social media content. We're going to be wrapping things up. Thanks for everyone that joined us live, even at the different time, and appreciate all your support and love that you guys came in with questions, comments, and the discussion that you guys had. It was beautiful. Make sure to check out the socials in the show notes. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely come let us know. We're going to be here every Saturday for as many Saturdays as we can possibly do it. But we love to play games, and we'd love to hear your opinions about them. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Bye. I can't do it. I can't. How do I end the stream? Joe, how do I end this?